In the United States Army, if a soldier wants to get promoted to either a sergeant or a staff sergeant, they're going to have to go in front of a promotion board. During that promotion board, they're going to be asked questions from like the sergeant major, from several first sergeants, just to kind of get an idea of if that soldier is ready to become a non-commissioned officer. And if you are someone that ends up in that situation, I've got 5 tips to help you be successful for an Army promotion board. And that video starts right now. A pre-tip that I definitely would recommend for anybody that's going to be going into that promotion board is to try to go to like a Soldier of the Month board. That's something I did. That's something that I've known a lot of soldiers will do to kind of get a little bit of practice before it really counts for promotion, because you go in front of a Soldier of the Month board, it's very similar to what it's going to be like when you're going for a promotion board. So by voluntarily going to that Soldier of the Month board allows for some extra practice, but nonetheless, 5 tips that I've got will help you be successful, hopefully, in that promotion board. If you're new here, your first time watching a Christopher Chaos video, well, I like to create content that helps you before you join the Army, helps you while you're currently in the Army, even helps satisfy maybe some nostalgia or keep you informed if you're a veteran. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. But nonetheless, let's get into 5 key things that'll help you out in a promotion board if you're in that situation. First one is your appearance. Your appearance can come in many different forms. That could be how you kind of hold yourself, making sure you're standing up straight or you're sitting in a right position, the way your uniform looks, the way your hair looks, all of that. For male individuals, you want to make sure your hair looks good, right? You make sure maybe it's nice and short on the sides, maybe your hair is well within standards type of thing, not trying to like skate on a little bit of like, it's pretty close kind of a thing. Probably want to make sure you have a very good appearance and make sure that there's no question that your hair is not within regulations. For women, make sure it's nice and tight and nice and tidy kind of a thing, nice and neat, right? Making sure that again, you're within regulations type of thing, because of course that matters as well. Uniform is going to be a key one, right? You're doing it in dress uniform. Sometimes they'll do it in regular combat uniform in certain environments, but most of the time it's in the dress uniform, and you want to make sure that uniform's squared away. Make sure you've gotten it dry cleaned, well beforehand. You don't want to take any chances of it not coming back from the dry cleaners in time. So well ahead of time, make sure it gets nice and dry cleaned, make sure you get all those ribbons and all of the nameplates and everything else, on the uniform correctly, nice and straight and everything. There's a lot of tips that, people have for like making sure that the ribbons look the best and the name tape looks the best. I remember one of the key ones was usually putting like cardboard behind them to make sure they're nice and stiff, but there's other things you can get out there that kind of make sure that the ribbons stay in a nice kind of stiff kind of fashion, look really good on the uniform, but making sure all the measurements are correct and everything. But also like your appearance as far as, how you kind of handling yourself, make sure you're standing up straight. If you're sitting down, you got your hands in your lap, right? And you're standing up tall, so that way your appearance looks professional and looks good. Number 2 is confidence. Confidence is a very key thing, making sure that you are confident in your answers. You're not trying to answer something and be like, I think it's this. That's not expressing very good confidence. Even if you're maybe not even 100% sure that's the correct answer, just be confident about it, right? If they're asking you 2 plus 2, what is 2 plus 2, and you're telling them it's 3, I guess just be really confident. I mean, they're gonna bust you out if you're wrong, but try to have that confidence and express it. You of course want to be correct though. I mean, don't go in there and, bomb all the questions and try to have the utmost confidence. I mean, you want to know the correct answers, but don't make it seem like you're not sure. Because if you do something and they're asking you a question and you answer it in a way that it sounds like a question, they're gonna get on you about it. They're gonna be like, are you asking or are you telling me? So you wanna make sure you have that confidence. Now, are you gonna know the answer to everything? No, probably not. But there's still a right way to answer it when you don't know the answer. That confidence needs to be expressed, especially if you don't know the answer, by showing that you know how you can get the answer. Because they know that you're not gonna be able to get every single question correct, but as a non-commissioned officer, you need to know where to get the correct answer. If let's say the first sergeant is asking you something, right? Maybe it comes from a specific manual like AR 670-1, which is a pretty common manual about the uniform in the Army. And the question is something, related to that, and you don't know the answer to it, and you're responding back to the first sergeant saying, First Sergeant, I do not know the answer to your question at this time, but I do know that I can reference it from AR 670-1. Knowing where to get the answer can be very helpful. So try your best to be able to, even if you can't memorize every single thing from every single topic, know where that answer comes from is a good confidence type of answer to be able to give to those individuals on that board. Now, a lot of you old school veterans may remember like promotion boards where it's asking you things from like AR 670-1, this manual, that manual. A lot of the way they do a lot of promotion boards nowadays in the current Army is not always like that though. So that leads into number 3, and that is knowing your soldiers. That is a lot of times what they want to focus on. This newer style of what the Army is more about trying to make sure the leadership focuses on the soldiers. So I have seen and heard a lot of scenarios where soldiers go to the promotion board and that first sergeant, that sergeant major knows who are the soldiers in your squad, and they're going to ask you questions about them, right? Private Smith, how many kids does Private Smith have, and is he married? And you need to know the answers to those questions. You need to know your soldiers, right? Knowing simply what AR to reference and what the exact measurements on your uniform is for this rib and all that stuff, great, but one of the key things they focus on in today's Army is making sure leaders know their soldiers. So making sure you know about those soldiers, where they're from, how many kids they have, maybe their spouse's name, those kinds of things, because they want to make sure that you're paying attention to those fellow soldiers. May or may not be as big of a factor when you're going from the promotion board for E4 to E5, but probably will be a much bigger factor from E5 to E6. Nonetheless, I would still make sure you know the soldiers, right? Still making sure you know them because it could possibly come up even from going from E4 to E5. The fourth one, probably a pretty important one, a pretty key one. You got to know the NCO creed. When you go to the Soldier of the Month board, you probably got to know the soldier's creed. So if you're going to do that to practice for it, good one to know. But if you're going to go in front of the promotion board, you got to know that NCO creed inside and out. A key thing I've seen them do sometimes too is they'll have you recite the NCO creed, but then kind of interrupt you somewhere in the middle of it. And then they want to see if you know where to pick up from to continue doing it. Not necessarily a bad thing if you have to start all over, but depending on the individuals, they could mess with you a few times and then you're starting over every single time. That could get a little annoying maybe, but nonetheless, I guess not really a wrong way to do it, but it would be good, sometimes pick up where you left off, know where to start from. I think I've even heard a few times where, maybe they might mess with you a little bit and say, hey, tell me the NCO creed, but starting from this sentence. Finish the rest of the NCO creed after this sentence. Maybe a little bit more rare, but for the most part, make sure you know the NCO creed very well. Also, when you're reciting the NCO creed, make sure you're loud. Don't be trying to whisper it and trying to be all quiet and don't sound confused. Make sure you're saying that NCO creed with confidence. That kind of goes back to number 2, expressing the confidence with the NCO creed, mashed together, boom, success. Fifth and last one of one of the key things to being successful in the Army promotion board, and that is keeping that military bearing. That comes in a lot of forms, right? That comes in kind of that appearance I was talking about earlier of making sure you're standing correctly, you're sitting correctly, everything is presenting that proper military bearing, but it comes even beyond that as well. There are several times where in the board, they're gonna try to see if they can kind of break you in a way, right? To see if you can maintain that discipline. A lot of that will come in the forms of trying to confuse you by maybe trying to get you to laugh maybe, or several other kind of ways. There are a lot of different ways I've known where they might try to kind of do that, where they ask a question in a weird way. Maybe they kind of interrupt you in the middle of answering your question. Maybe they kind of act like they're frustrated, but they're not really frustrated with your answer. They're just trying to see how you're gonna kind of respond to that. There's even several videos I've seen where people have done weird and crazy stuff, like, putting the chair, inside of the room on its side and seeing how you kind of react to that, and then there's like these crazy videos of soldiers just kind of trying to get into the chair, but while it's still on the ground and stuff. The correct answer, it may depend on the leadership. It might just be simply grab that chair and position it properly, or maybe ask the first sergeant permission to, reposition the chair, or the sergeant major actually, because that'd be the president of the board, maybe ask permission from the sergeant major, to reposition the chair. It may depend on the leadership as far as what the correct answer is, but nonetheless, the correct answer is not to go and try to get into that chair while it's still on its side on the ground. So they're gonna test your military bearing, whether it's trying to get you to break, trying to get you to laugh, trying to get you to do some weird stuff that, is not conventional, all sorts of things. And you just gotta try to remain professional, because that's what NCOs do, is they're professionals, right? So you gotta maintain that ability to be professional in that environment. If you're a veteran out there, or someone who has gone through that Army promotion board, especially individuals who have gone through it within the last 5 years type of thing, I want to hear some comments down below. What are some tips, from your experience of being in that promotion board that you would kind of like to pass off to your fellow soldiers, your future soldiers, whatever, that are going to one day try to become a non-commissioned officer, and what would be your advice to them before going in front of that board? It's nerve-wracking, it's scary, you got to fight those nerves, you got to fight it off, but you just got to have that confidence, right? That's your body language, and everything else is going to, be the difference between you getting recommended for promotion or you not getting recommended for promotion. I've known several people that, just too nervous, right? And they were like, sorry, you're a little bit too nervous. We would like you to maybe come back again, right? And you have to try again the next month, right? And that delays your process of trying to make more money, trying to get that promotion, trying to get more responsibility, trying to get more rank on your chest, on your uniform and everything. So confidence, studying, being prepared is the key thing before you go into that promotion board. That's why I stress that, maybe trying to go to like a Soldier of the Month board, maybe even a couple Soldier of the Month boards to get that experience, maybe help break the nerves up and kind of be a little bit more prepared for that promotion board. During my second time going to the promotion board for Staff Sergeant, I was actually pretty nervous, right? I was actually, kind of nervous going into it, and I think all of the other individuals, the first sergeants, even said afterwards, saying like, nah, he seemed kind of nervous. Maybe deny him on this one and make him come back the next time. But the sergeant major, he actually liked me, and that's the only reason I actually passed. Was he ended up saying that, no, I like him. He's a good guy. I'm gonna recommend him. He even said that I recommend him for promotion, and my vote's the only one that really counts, which I think he's actually not actually a voting one, but he had a lot of influence, among the board and everything like that. So nonetheless, I ended up passing. But as you may be aware, I did not actually make it to Staff Sergeant, and if you'd like to know why that is, I got a video right here you can check out that explains why it was I didn't quite make it to Staff Sergeant. If you want to check out another YouTube video, check this one out. This one's also pretty awesome if you've already seen the Staff Sergeant story. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, like the video, check out the comments or contents in the description box. I'm Christopher Chaos. See you next time. See ya.